This video is sponsored by Squarespace.
Hello everybody, today I have a first impression video of the iPhone 14 Pro Max for you. I just switched from my 12 Pro Max and I wanted to see if it's really that much better and if it's worth switching. On top of that, I took some photos with my Sony a7R IV to see how they both cameras compare. As a side note, I do not expect my iPhone to be as good as the Sony. However, considering this is the camera I use the most besides my mirrorless, I wanted to see how both of them compare. First off, I just wanted to see how the camera is doing in a non-ideal light situation like this one. As you probably know by now, iPhone cameras always perform really well when in direct sunlight. However, I had issues before when it comes to backlit, especially in terms of contrast and colors. For the sake of the experiment, I took some images in regular format and some in RAW to see how they compare. I have to say, even though the camera has definitely improved from the 12 Pro Max, it still has long ways to go when it comes to quality of image. Here are some images that I took on the Sony to compare, and as you see, the quality of colors as well as contrast is incomparable. Another thing that I noticed is that with the backlight, the detail in the images has suffered greatly for sure, so even though the main camera has 48 megapixels, there's still a lot to improve. I also noticed that the quality of the 3x zoom is definitely lower than the 1 and 2x zoom. The details become very hazy and it just doesn't have the crispness that the other two have. I also tested out the 0.5 and I have to say, as always, it's one of my favorite lenses as long as it's used in the bright lighting scenario. I feel like the low light capacity of the lens is not there yet, but I do enjoy the distortion and the feel it gives me. I have to say, I have never been the biggest fan of the portrait mode because of how the fake blur affects the hairline specifically and how unnatural the blurriness can look. That being said, in this test, I tried the portrait mode as well as the cinematic mode in the video with a range of different f-stops to see if I can achieve a more natural lens separation, and have to say I was pretty happy with the results. Here is an example of how the bokeh looks between f2 and around f10. I feel like my sweet spot was around f7 as it gave me a tiny bit of separation without the fake blur that I dislike. Same applies to the cinematic mode. I felt like shooting at f2 gave me way too much fake blur, and it's far from perfect when it comes to focusing and especially shooting with models, but I feel like around f7 or 8 it gives me a nice little separation without it being too extreme. One thing that I noticed throughout shooting is that the phone struggles significantly when it comes to taking multiple shots in RAW format. The phone starts to lag and overheat as soon as it takes a few shots, which was super frustrating. I had to wait up to 10 seconds in between shots for the camera to buffer, which I think is pretty unfortunate.
Yeah, beautiful. That looks really, I love that. Stay like that. Just need to get it to catch up to take a photo. Beautiful, yeah.
Here's another test I did using very contrasting light to see how the iPhone performs. This is actually one of my favorite ways to use the iPhone camera, as I feel sometimes it does a better job than my mirrorless, as it can balance the highlights and shadows in a more flattering way. Here is a video comparing what the mirrorless versus the iPhone camera looks like, and as you can see, there is way more background present in the iPhone version, which I think is actually really helpful, especially when trying to balance for the skin tones. Here's another example of the mixed light capabilities that was shot in the neighborhood, where as you can see the light is extremely contrasty and is a bit of a nightmare for any traditional camera. However, the iPhone does a pretty good job bouncing between the highlights and the shadows and make them look pretty even. And now a word from my sponsor, Squarespace.
Squarespace is an all-in platform that will help you make your dream website, portfolio, or an online shop become a reality. Squarespace has hundreds of beautiful templates, so you will definitely find something that suits you and your personal style. You can build a professional portfolio website in a matter of hours, and you will be able to customize it every step of the way, so it's so you that nobody can deny it's not. As we all know, social media presence is power, and with Squarespace, you'll be able to auto-post all your content to Twitter, Facebook, or Tumblr with proper tags and descriptions. Finally, Squarespace helps you with the marketing. They help you with SEO, as well as some plugins for Instagram stories and so on, as well as share buttons so your followers can give you some juicy shoutouts on their social media. If that sounds like something you'd like to try, make sure to go to squarespace.com for a free trial. And once you're ready to go, use my code squarespace.com/Anita to receive 10% off your first purchase.
Finally, when it comes to video capabilities, I have to say I was pretty happy with how the iPhone camera performed. Here's a little comparison of both my mirrorless and the iPhone on 4K 60p. I found the quality of the footage way better than the images themselves, other than the colors, which I was not super big fan of. Unfortunately, iPhone doesn't have great color control yet, and I'm hoping it's going to change soon. One thing that is definitely a winner when it comes to the iPhone cameras is definitely the video stabilization. As you can see here, I filmed a little side by side with the mirrorless, and the iPhone definitely blows it out of the water when it comes to stabilization. It's worth mentioning they also have included a new feature called Action Mode, which adds further stabilization to footage you shoot on the wide angle camera. However, just remember you have to make sure you have plenty of light available. Don't get me wrong, I think the iPhone camera capabilities are pretty impressive. It's probably one of my most used cameras, as I take most of my behind the scenes and everyday photos on it. That's also partially the reason why I am super critical of it, because I am pretty familiar with using it and I know what it's capable of. Even though I was impressed with the video capabilities of the camera, I have to say I am slightly disappointed with the lack of any major improvements to the photo camera and the phone in general. I don't really feel like there's much of a difference between the new 14 Pro and my older 12 Pro, and quite frankly, I don't think it was worth an upgrade unless you have an iPhone 11 or older. Okay guys, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think about the new iPhone. Did you get it? Are you going to get it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I will see you guys in the next one.